Today we're going to talk about Supernatural. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe. I have 50 subscribers. I need a lot more. I'm thinking about talking about Supernatural because there's some things I want to discuss. One of them is basically it's going to be things I think would have been better, or some changes that were wrong, maybe some deaths that shouldn't have occurred. I'm going to do more things. Now, we all know that Supernatural about these two brothers who hunt monsters and later on deal with angels and other stuff. I loved how they entered the cell with the death of Mary, as well as later on the death of Jessica. I honestly was liked how Sam had his psychic powers, but I don't like how they ended the storyline the way it was. I absolutely hated the demon blood thing. That it was disgusting. Couldn't take it. Now, the way they introduced angels, let's talk about them. I thought it was good how they had them cruel and not what people believe them to be. And I like how they use the God's warriors thing, because it does mention that in the Bible. I liked how they introduced Castiel. I liked how they did that. But I didn't like him because Castiel was a dick in the first couple seasons, I think. In the fifth one, he kind of wasn't, but anyway. But he grew on me. He's actually my favorite character. And I wish that we would have seen more of Raphael in the fifth season. He would have been an interesting character. So all of that season, they talked about him, but they only saw him twice, which I thought was ridiculous and dumb, mind you. I do believe, though, that they should have made Raphael the healer of heaven, as he was, based on religion. That would have been an interesting thing to have at least some of it right. I don't like how they made him evil, because that's not who he's supposed to be. I mean, I'm okay with the rest of them kind of being that way, but it wouldn't have fit him at all. I also liked how they had Michael being as bad as Lucifer. That was a nice touch. I thought the majority of the series was great. I didn't like season 3 because I didn't like the going to hell part of it when Dean went there. I didn't like Soulless Sam at all either. But basically I'm saying I didn't like how how do I word this? Like, I thought the majority of the series was good, except the last 3 seasons weren't the greatest. The endings were a lot weaker. And I liked Jack. I really did. I think that was the only part of the series that was good. Of the last 3 seasons. I didn't like in season 10 where they made, was it 10 or 11? I don't know. It was one of those. It was the arc where Castiel caught that disease. Or not disease, that whatever the darkness is blowing off. Amara. Because angels are supposed to be immune to those kinds of things. As we've seen in the past, they always have been. Like, so, which I thought, he's an angel supposed to be immune to everything that's disease. So I don't think it was nice that they affected him by it. I believe it would have been nice to see more Nephilim in the show. Besides Jack, that would have been great. I honestly didn't like how Jack kind of went crazy with his powers. That's the exact opposite of what he wanted to do. And I think I would have liked to see Michael fall instead of being eaten by Jack or whatever that occurred. Season 15, the worst. I didn't like how they killed off Castiel, which was for no apparent reason whatsoever. and how he said, "I love you, Dean." That was a bit too awkward for me. Not that I have a problem with the OBG, not that I have a problem with LGGs, with homosexuality, heterosexuality. I don't have a problem with any of that. It's just angels aren't capable of. I just don't. Angels are obviously. They talked about the first Nephilim in the so. They talked about her in season 12, but so angels are capable of romance, which I think is odd. But I just don't see Castiel as. I just didn't think it was too weird that they made him in love with Dean. I mean, I'm okay with the different sexualities and whatnot. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't think that should have been in it. What that didn't fit right. I also didn't like how Angels started off really. I liked how Angels started off really strong, but I didn't like whatsoever how they made them weaker later. I mean, I get it; they fell. I get that, but I didn't like that either. I mean, I was okay with it, but I was kind of iffy on that. Didn't like, didn't hate, in between. But anyway, even if they were fallen, I still think they made him pathetic. That's what they did, basically. Uh, and when we met Gabriel, he's an interesting story. I loved how they gave the twist of where he was the trickster from season 2. I didn't like how he faked his death, and I absolutely did not like when they killed him off whatsoever. Nor did I like this with Asmodeus. I liked how he obliterated Asmodeus, but I didn't like how he was tortured by him and how he was traumatized, because that's not. I just don't think it makes sense because Gabriel's typically loves to torture and all that. Not loves to, but he killed Dean off 1,000 times. And basically, I just don't see him or an angel in general being to be traumatized because that takes emotions, which angels lack. So I didn't like that whatsoever. And I didn't like when they killed him off because I loved that character. I really did. I think he had more potential than they gave him credit for. I think it would have. I think this would have made a main character, in my opinion. And just don't think killing him off would have been the best idea. No, that wasn't right. And then the fact that all Archangels were obliterated. Well, they weren't obliterated, they were all killed. I didn't like that either. I mean, I was glad they were taken care of, but I'm a bit of a logical person, and I'm kind of like obsessive. So I didn't see them being able to be killed off because they're those powerful beings in existence, one of the most. They make off, and last but not least, we're going to talk about God. I did not like how they made him evil like that. Um, basically to where they talked about free will, Dean, Sam, and Castiel did. I'm going to find out that free will doesn't exist. I hated that. And back to season 15. On top of that, I'm okay. I was okay with Dean being killed off because they do that with Souls a lot. It's how they did it that made me PO because he would die by a piece of wood being wedged through him. A fence post wood. It was the same. It was the same thing to me. When he could have been in a lot of different ways. Like I would have preferred if he died fighting. And Bobby, for example, I hated when they killed him off. I mean, they could have made him a minor character or a supporting character, but killing him off wasn't necessary. I didn't like that at all. And I didn't like how they killed off Ellen and Joe or Charlie because that was kind of pointless. That was kind of pointless. Maybe that's just because I'm a woman, but they did not do very good with a female character. Killing them off constantly. I didn't like that at all. Maybe that's just me as a woman speaking. But for all you girls out there who love the show, I'm sure you can agree with me on that one. Now, the one question everybody's probably going to wonder. Am I a Dean or Sam person? I'm neither. I like Castiel. So anyway, that's pretty much the gist of it. Please like and subscribe. And comment. I love those. Playlists will be up on the screen. No, sorry, that'll be my channel's up here, and down here is a playlist, and here will be my most recent video. See you next time.